The ninth paradigm is within the being form. That is the red, and he with red, and of red in the hair form, is not of craft. He is the embodiment of that which is unsavable.
Yeah, what's good? It's your boy Whispy. And in this video, you guys, it's basically a continuation of my previous video about Trevor and his father. Now I'm going to try and make this video a little bit more conclusive and a little bit, tighter and shorter than my previous one. So I'm going to refrain from repeating a few things, so try and stay with me. 1. This is the rabbit in GTA 5, and it is the rabbit we know to not only turn into a peyote option, but it's the rabbit that is known throughout the game and that we have known to see randomly, okay? But there are dualities, and not selling out too many things about dualities here. I want you guys to understand the reason why I refrained from telling you in the last video about the red hair was because it was going to take a whole nother understanding and a whole nother clean slate for you to understand this. And it's not that it's completely complicated, but it's more or less refreshing enough to start again. Now, within this refresh, I want you to clear your mind. This, once again, is the rabbit. But a rabbit is what we know it to be, a bunny rabbit. But there's something significant about this bunny rabbit that I want you to understand, is the look of the actual rabbit that considers it a rabbit. Okay? Something very, very significant about the shape and how it actually is in the species, okay, that actually considers it a rabbit and not necessarily a hare. Okay? Now, there's something that I want to show you when it comes down to hair. And that is the aspect of, once again, Red Dead Redemption. And this is a big part of what I feel as though is tying Trevor towards the evil aspects of not only GTA but Rockstar, and how Red Dead Redemption is a big clue on the aspects of nature within Rockstar's past and evil. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of the aspects of the game are things that we've been looking up, whether hi-hats or killing people, or the aspects of red, the cactus, and sand. Not to mention the aspect of glass being tied to Trevor, and glass being made of this earth partner. And glass is also a slang for meth, okay? And meth is something that Trevor does. Now, once again, a rabbit is something that has been in GTA, but also Red Dead Redemption. But something very interesting about this rabbit in particular, okay? I want you to pay attention to the way it looks, because it's not the same rabbit as you see. It is completely different. And before you get on me about, it's a completely different game, so a completely different model, right? But here's the thing. It is a different species that they chose to actually parody this rabbit from. And the species is not the same as a normal rabbit. And this species is actually known, okay, to be the jackrabbit of the American Southwest. Even for those of you who are anal about certain things, like I said, the jackrabbit of the Southwest, okay, like they said, is the exact rabbit that Rockstar chose to actually put in the game. But technically, however, the jackrabbit is not a rabbit, but a hare. Okay? Now, like I said, the red hare makes a lot of sense how we have a jackrabbit and or hare within Red Dead Redemption. Think about it. The red hare. Now, aside from rabbits, there are a few aspects of this man in the top hat that I want to speak with you about, and we're just going to have a light conversation about things that can possibly tie him once again to the devil. Okay, and now what we're looking at here is the strange man and or the devil. Okay, and they've made a point to put these nicknames here because these are the names that he has referenced throughout the game. Okay, as you know, we need to do. It says he is known as the God-Man, the God-Man at that, Satan, Lucifer, Devil, Devilman, and Death, and Mysterious Stranger. Okay, it's pretty interesting that throughout fame, you get fame throughout killing people, okay, and helping strangers. That's pretty interesting. Aside from that, there is some very interesting things about this man, and that is his handlebar mustache. Now, what we're going to do here is take a look at the history of goatees. Yes, I said it, the history of goatees. And the aspect of a goatee, okay, is pretty interesting when you take into the duality of the devil, okay, because it actually starts from things that we've looked at, like Greeks and Romans, okay. And the hairstyle dates back to the to ancient Greece and ancient Rome, where the god Pan, okay, was traditionally depicted with one. When Christianity became the dominant religion and began co-opting imagery from pagan myth, Satan was given the likeness of Pan, leading to Satan traditionally being depicted with a goatee in medieval and Renaissance art. Like I said, the goatee is very interesting. Also, the aspect that he's wearing gray, and we know gray to be aspects of the mourning, okay, and mourning dressed in Freemasonry, okay. The aspects of black over the mourning can even give some clues, possibly to a black mourning. Who knows? But these are just theories at this point. We are gaining information. The trivia for this man is very interesting too. As it says within GamePro magazine, a closer look at Red Dead Redemption was given. When asked about the Strange Man quest, okay, this is GamePro asking Rockstar, you guys, you have to understand, whether the Strange Man, okay, with the black top hat represented God or Satan, Rockstar told the magazine that they could not tell if the Strange Man was God, Satan, or anything else. Now, why in the hell couldn't they tell us that? Well, they've clarified certain things, but for some reason, they're just as vague as this as they are with Claude's speed. And also very interesting is when you manage to kill this man, you obtain $6 and 6 rounds of revolver ammunition. 6 is known to be the number of the devil.
Double on bug.
So, what we're looking at here is something called holy water. And one thing I want to make very clear is that it's very interesting that something tied to water, okay, that we've been looking up, it's also tied to something holy, something that we have been looking up, and also lightning, something that we have been trying to conjure ever since we figured out that time travel had something to do with this. Like I said, there just might be two aspects of going back into the future, and it might be good and it might be bad, and it might be our choice. And until then, spread the truth. And before we go, you guys, I do want to bring some clarification to the red hair, and just understand once again, an aspect of duality here. It isn't just the fact that it has to be a rabbit here. It can mean a bunch of different things, but hair is an aspect of wordplay, and red hair, okay, even if it doesn't mean a rabbit, it can also mean a red horse, okay, that was owned by the warlord Lao Bu, I believe. And this is very interesting that it falls within Chinese folklores, because Chinese were a big pinnacle part in Trevor's story mode, and for them to just randomly put Chinese men in there, it's it does sound like a stretch, but once again, the red hair is known within Chinese history, very well known, and it just brings more and more relevance to the fact that we're looking up so many aspects of horses, and Da Vinci's horse, and the horses of the apocalypse, and so forth and so on. But again, these things are only to be taken with a grain of salt until we can actually develop those physical connections and or things within the game that we can actually tie. And once we develop that connection, we can actually develop a list, and till we figure out a way to actually connect each and everything that we have gained, and it will only be a process of elimination at that point. I mean, this is only making the mystery that much easier within knowledge, and the more knowledge we gain, the easier the steps become.